Hey, what's up? They say we're here talking about pushing boundaries. I've never thought of myself as somebody that pushed boundaries, but tonight, maybe tonight that will all change, because you see, this afternoon, you're going to help me accomplish something very important. In fact, you're going to help me accomplish a childhood dream, something I've said my whole life, somewhat jokingly, because I was afraid that someone might think I was serious and tell me I couldn't do it. In the words of my favorite iconic cartoon duo, Pinky and the Brain, what are we going to do tonight, Brain? Well, the same thing we do every night, Pinky. We are going to change the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not what Brain said. Brain said they were going to take over the world. I actually don't have any desire to take over or rule the world. I just simply want to change the world. And today we are going to do that together. You see, I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to teach you something that's been near and dear to me, that has transpired throughout my life without even knowing it until only recent years. So I'm going to teach you something that has been applicable in many facets of my life. Because if you're from Red Deer, Alberta, you probably or might know me as a personal trainer or as a fitness columnist here in Red Deer for the last 15 years. But what you don't know me as probably was a junior high peer support counselor. You don't know me as a life insurance agent. You don't know me as an electronic salesman. You don't know me as a backhoe operator, a film director, and now even a franchising executive. But I have been or am all of these things. But for the record, I was a really lousy backhoe operator. Tonight, I'm going to teach you an equation. My math teacher would be proud, because I'm going to teach you an equation. This equation will help you with just about anything. For instance, we'll talk a lot about fitness, because it's what I know. If you're one of those people that's preparing for this crazy thing that happens at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st, this will help you achieve that fitness goal and not be one of the 91% by January 21 that's given up. However, if you're in sales and you wish to sell more, this will teach you to sell more. If you'd like to have a better relationship, if you'd like to get that next job, if you'd like to get that bigger promotion, if you want to be able to be one of those people that didn't stand up earlier today, say, I'm living my dream life, I truly believe this equation can do that for you. Again, my math teacher would be proud. But let me tell you the story, of how I discovered this equation, or how I came across it. I don't want you to see before you this below average height hunk of a man on stage today. I want you to see an insecure 15-year-old with very crooked teeth that was very uncomfortable in his own skin. Okay, that individual that clearly struggled with self-esteem, that tried many things but never stuck with anything, and spent a large part of their life saying, I am doomed to fail. I do not have what it takes. I'm not going to amount to anything. I was not given the tools or resources I needed to succeed. But weird things happened along the way. And whether I took notice at the time or not, I don't know, but weird things happened. It started when I was 15 years old. A bunch of friends, it was a friend's birthday, and of all things, they decided to drag us to this god-awful place called the gym. I was working out for the first time, and I still remember my so-called personal trainer teaching me an exercise called the squat. I'm sure many of you have tried it and hated it. Okay, the squat went something like this. If you've ever worked out in a gym, you know those 7-foot bars that we use. They weigh approximately 45 pounds. Remember, I was 98 pounds. My trainer decided it was a good idea to put another 25 pounds on each side. Yes, if you're doing the math, that's almost my body weight. He sort of drugged me up and down in this squat-like motion, and for the next 10 days, I was realizing how much I hated working out. But for some reason, my friends kept dragging me back. And soon my friends stopped going, but I kept going to the gym, and I kept asking myself, why am I here? I've tried so many things. I've hated it. I don't even like working out. I've never wanted to do this. And even my own habits with the gym started to dwindle. And then something really strange happened. An individual came up to me, and they said, hey, did you hear about what those two big guys said about you the other day? I'm like, no, what? They said that you're looking good. And if you stick at it, you might look good enough to compete one day. Compete in what? Well, bodybuilding. Well, that's disgusting. 10 years later, 12 or 13 contests, 3 times to the nationals, I had gained and lost more than 1,000 pounds. Because 2 individuals said something, not even directly to me, but to someone else who happened to say something to me. I hadn't stuck with anything in my life. I had tried many things. Okay, I was so busy thinking that I was doomed to fail and that I would never succeed that I failed to take notice that weird things happen, or that I continually seemed to go through periods where I had this plan, this plan that would change everything that would inevitably fall apart and fail, and I'd move on to the next thing. But for some reason, this working out thing, I stuck with it, and I was doing all these shows, okay? And I had been competing, and when you're competing, you remember these weird things. So for instance, I remember it was 3 weeks after one of my trips to the Nationals. I was 179 pounds, not 180, I was 179 pounds. And I was setting up in the gym on a Monday evening. If you've ever been to the gym on Monday, you know what it's like, because everybody that feels guilty after falling off before the weekend is back there with renewed vigor on Monday. So it was like being in the middle of a rock concert. I'm setting up to do that god-awful exercise called a squat again. This time, at 179 pounds, there was 545 pounds on the bar. I was determined I was going to do this. I set up, you're going through the motions. You're trying to find your mental place to say, it's just me against the iron. I can beat this. I can do it. I get under the bar, and it's still one of those things, I think, with pride, that I wanted to have that photo to show mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, because I had to set the pins on the rack one lower than I actually needed, because the bar would bend so much. When I lift the bar off, I couldn't lift it up otherwise. So I set up to do my squat, and I'm prepared. And I go down, and I am stuck. Suddenly, that rock concert becomes a library. You could hear a pin drop with, "Cabel, are you okay?" I was embarrassed. Completely, my confidence was shattered. I was disgusted, embarrassed of myself. I couldn't believe this happened. It clanged off the rails like with a sound like you've never heard. It was awful. I had completely failed. I was crushed. I wanted to just pack up and go home. But what did I do? Instead, we unloaded the bar, we put it back up, we loaded it up again, and my anger became a source of vigor to say, I'm going to beat this, I'm going to try again. And foolishly, perhaps in hindsight, stupidity, before getting under the bar, what did I do? I took out the safety bars. I would succeed or die. It was that simple. Would succeed or die. I never thought I could succeed at anything. I spent most of my life thinking I was going to fail. But for that moment, I was willing to throw it all away for just what might seem the silliest thing, to face this massive amount of iron for no other reason than to succeed. Well, as you can see, I'm here today. So I survived. I completed that squat a few times. It was something I look back on as a monumental moment in my life, and I wonder what happened. And I think back to my whole training experience, that thing that occurred when two people said something to somebody else and not to me, that allowed me to make all these kinds of strange decisions. For instance, growing up through high school, doing what high school kids do, going to parties on weekends, being out late with my friends, being the weirdo walking around the bush party fire with a canister of milk, as opposed to a glass of alcohol. My friends who started to get involved in recreational drugs, I would go with them and hang out with them. I would roll joints for my friends, but I have yet to ever have a puff off one. I would always pass it over to them and hang out with them and continue to drink my milk. I know what you're thinking. I can hear it with the two dudes tuckled in the back there saying, "Dude, you missed the best part of the party." I think back, why? What child does these things? What child makes these decisions in light of these pressures to move on and carry forward? Well, as I think you can see by now, when we're talking about an equation that will change our life, what the I possibly means. That I is inspiration. Inspiration is the fuel of dreams. You think about it. When we are inspired, like that magic moment at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st, when nothing that happened just 1 minute before no longer matters, nothing is going to stop you from achieving that fitness goal. You can do it. You can give up sleep. You can give up food. You can give up everything that you enjoy for the sake of looking and feeling the way you want that one time. Inspiration will allow us to run through walls. It will allow us to remove the safety bars in light of certain death and conquer something that we just recently failed at. Inspiration is that thing that will allow us to give up air. Remember those blissful moments as a teenager when you meet your first true love. When you're exhausted and it's 3 a.m. because you've already been on the phone for 5 hours, but you just want to sit there 1 more hour just to listen to that person breathe. We will give up air. We will give up sleep. We will give up food. Beyond all reason, when we are inspired, we truly can do anything. What if we could harness inspiration? What if there was a way through a mathematical equation or a simple process that we could have ourselves more inspired than not? Imagine what life could be like. Imagine the lives that we could change. Imagine how we could change the world if we knew how to harness inspiration. Now I'm going to talk about fitness, because fitness is where I've spent most of my time, and it's what I know. When I was a young fitness trainer, working with many people, it started like this. I actually became a trainer by accident, because as you can tell, I'm 5'4", which is something that I was terribly insecure about for a long part of my life. But as a bodybuilder at 5'4", something really strange happened. You see, people would come up to me in the gym because I was that big muscular guy that they thought they wanted to look like, but I wasn't as intimidating as the 6'5" guy. So people would come up to me and ask me, how do I look like you? What do I need to do to look like you do, or how do I get like that? So I would share with them, or what I thought I needed to share with them was how to work out and how to eat. But soon I realized that it didn't matter what I knew. It didn't matter what I shared with them, because people would follow it for a while and then they would fall off and they wouldn't stay on track with their plan. It didn't matter what information I shared with them. And look at society today. In spite of better technology, better science, better medicine, better information, access to information at our fingertips, we are failing faster than ever before. North America is locked in this thing they call an obesity crisis. We have children with mortality rates this generation that are less than their parents. We have, believe it or not, the average Canadian is over 25% body fat by 36 years of age, and even 61% of Canadians are considered to be obese by medical standards. In spite of all of this information for fitness, we fail faster than ever. Why? Why is it, even though we have the best information, that we keep failing? Well, because inspiration is fleeting. When we are inspired, we can do anything, but when inspiration begins to fizzle, we carry on and move on. How do we stay inspired? So many people ask me about motivation. What does it take to stay motivated? Motivated is a verb, it's an action, it's something we do. You can't stay motivated. The human body, mind is not designed to be motivated. It's designed to be inspired, to latch on to an idea that is bigger than oneself and carry on with that idea. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk about the rest of this equation. E.A.S. E is for emotion. Our life and all of our decisions are governed by emotion. If we want to make a decision about anything, the ruling factor will be emotion. Okay? We want to get in shape. We don't like the way we look in the mirror. We think about that favorite pair of jeans that is in the back of the closet that we haven't tried for months, that we just want to be able to fit in and do up and feel great in. Each morning, I guarantee all of us have some sort of kind of ill feeling in our stomach because we just don't quite look or feel the way we want. Okay, and we really want to. Now here's another demonstration of how powerful emotion is in decisions. Think of the last big thing that you purchased. You probably thought about it, were excited about it, you decided you had to have it. It didn't matter if you could afford it. It was simply a matter of how do I get it. You do all of this research as we do as consumers today. We go online, we look at reviews, we decide, yes, this is the best choice. And when you're en route to go buy this thing from the store, you happen to run into your friend that says, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to buy this big bad TV. It's so awesome. I did all this research. It's awesome. And they say, oh, don't get that one. That one sucks. Instantly, your confidence is shaken. You begin to second guess the whole decision process that you made, because that one person that you know, like, and trust could make you emotional about that decision in a way that you didn't expect. They begin to shake your whole confidence. Emotions are at the center of our decisions. So how do you harness the power of inspiration? Step one is you have to understand emotion. Emotion is how, what, or why questions. What is it that I want to accomplish? Why will it be important to me? How will it make me feel if I achieve this goal? We have to be so emotional about something that it allows us to reach that point where nothing else matters. We become so focused on that one thing, and it's critical that you succeed or die. A stands for affirmation. Once we're emotional about a decision, when we are about to make a decision, we must gain affirmation, and this is where you are going to help me change the world, because this equation does not work as a solo venture. You must seek out affirmation from the people that you love and care about you, and they must be programmed or taught to give you that affirmation. All it takes is for one person at the wrong time to say, you can't do that, that'll never work. And your dreams are shattered. You have to back up and become emotional again. You have to re-ask yourself, how will it make me feel if I do this? Why? Why is this important to me? Emotion must be followed with affirmation. Every time affirmation doesn't follow emotion, we have to back up and become emotional. The last step of this is, by virtue, the least important, which is what, as a personal trainer, I thought people first needed to know, which was the solution. It was the how to do it. It was the what to do, the how to work out, the what to eat. But it's actually the least important thing, because I couldn't change their life in 30 to 60 minutes. All I could hope to do was inspire them enough to make the right choices those other 23 hours a day, which I had to do so by becoming their friend, being able to make them emotional about the problem to understand why it was important to them. Emotion, affirmation, solution. Through each of these is the path to being inspired. Now I'm going to tell you something that's literally just happened to me in the last 2 weeks. This individual heard me speak at an event, and it was some time ago, and they had contacted me about consulting after the event. And then I never heard from them until recently. I got an email from them saying, Cabel, I heard you speak. It was very helpful. I got a lot of great things for you. I tried things. I failed. My family and I are now homeless. I know what you're thinking. Homeless guy doesn't have email. I thought that too. But at the core of it, this individual was distraught. You could tell that they were broken. And they were asking me, what would you do in this situation? I had to think about it for a moment. The first thing I do would call friends and family and make sure that, my family was safe and taken care of. But then the more I thought about it, what would I do? What would I do if I lost everything that I've worked so hard to gain and I had to start over? And it really came down to this. I would begin to ask myself, why? Why is it important to me that I not stay where I am? What is it that I want to accomplish? How will my life change, or how will I feel? How will my families change if I reach that point? And it becomes emotion, affirmation, solution. It doesn't matter what you want in life. Whether you want that next job, that next promotion, to get in shape, to be a better friend, to be a better spouse, all it takes is a little inspiration. You have the tool to do it, and here's my close and my final caveat. Be forewarned. Inspiration can be positive or negative, and the process is the same. This equation can work against you through negative inspiration in the same way. So always ask yourself first, why? Thank you.